Hi, I'm Michael Kieley. I teach at Loyola Marymount University, a class called Visual Thinking, which I've morphed into a course about art and innovation and entrepreneurship, because people let me do anything there. Don't tell them. A year and a half ago, I went to a conference and I swore I wasn't going to get involved in any new technologies because I was already using a lot of technology. I'd hybridized my class 5 years ago, again without permission. And someone inspired me with a presentation about this app called NearPod. And I was sort of like, damn, I'm going to have to do this. And so NearPod, I can talk a little bit about the history towards the end of this presentation. I want to get into the interactivity. I'm going to drive through a set of slides, but it's like you start with a PowerPoint, but then you move into something where you're really working and sharing with the audience. So the first slide should be asking you to sign in. If you just put in your first name and then click on submit. I don't like that word in this though. Submit doesn't sound that friendly. And then I can see the names appear on my iPad, which is the one controlling, and you can use my other iPad in student mode in the bottom right. Just enter the pin. So this should work with both people in the room and people out of the room. And once we get into it, anything that you contribute to the presentations will be either summarized in a chart instantly. Again, I teach visual thinking, so I really like that. And sometimes there's like fill in the blank, so you're not limited to that sort of 3-point answer. Just waiting for a couple people to sign in. It's I-Y-H. Yeah, it's not really case sensitive because they're all uppercase. No. You find join session or student mode. So I don't know what I feel like. I feel like I'm hitting the wine bar in an hour. Can you hold on that code one more time? Yeah, sure. I can. Why are you here? I don't know, but these were my thoughts initially. I got really hung up on like, are you going to be inspired? Did you think I was giving out free ice cream? Is this going to be the fastest presentation in the world? Possibly, but I'm not desperate. So maybe you just came to this because you're like, I don't know, it sounds more appealing, or NearPod, or maybe, does anyone use NearPod right now? Good. Just working out. So I'll try and, now here's a chance, you should see a screen with a fill in the blank. Yeah, so it could be just what is it, or it could be how does it allow you to teach in silence, which is one of my favorite things about it. And then as people, they don't have to be, you can type whatever you need to type. Once I can see how complete these are, so again, I'm on the teacher mode, I am in control and you are submitting. I can see how complete people are, and my mentor in this suggested that for a lot of things, when it's 80% answers, you move on. And then I'm starting to see the little, just so you see the teacher mode, I'm starting to see what you're typing, and then as you type it, I'm seeing it. As soon as you hit submit, I see it, and now I can send out some of these responses. And one thing that's great, especially for some people, it's anonymous sharing, so somebody's gonna like say something they might think is wrong or dumb or wild. The students in the room don't know who said what. And then it's more important to look at your own screen than, this is just something we're using to get the audio feed to confer. So one of the things that my students like about it is you can, at least on an iPad, you can see, well, question.
Could I only come up at a time, or can see a full of all of them?
No, in this case, I can see them all, but I'm sort of selecting and sending out.
There's no way for students to...
No. No, that would be a different function, or I should say no way that I know of. Usually I only have 14 students, so I usually share everything that's germane. So.
I asked you a really dumb question.
No.
With the iPad, there's no attachment to the computer. How are you? Is it Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi to NearPod servers, back down to the iPods in the room from NearPod server. That's my understanding.
It's all on the cloud.
And it's it's NearPod's cloud. I pay a subscription there. Yeah,
it's different on the phone. The color.
Oh, wait.
Yep. Oh, this is that's because it's browser based.
He's got a wireless mic, but you're going to ask questions. Oh, wait.
I'm going to move on to the next. So, I don't think I'm allowed to rearrange the furniture in this room. I'm a furniture designer, so my first impulse is I would have gathered everyone in pods. So I think I'm not going to do that, but I guess I just want to say one thing I love about NearPod is it's not hierarchical. It's like I'm sitting with my students in amongst them, and I have this notion, which is the next question. I left within the presentation. The most common thing is for me as a teacher to write a question, ask the students. There are right-wrong answers, that's called a quiz, and there's poll, which is a survey, which doesn't have a single right answer. In this case, does anyone look around the room? We've been around each other for second day. What kind of question could we ask that everyone could answer that would be interesting?
I've got one.
Good.
You could pick any baseball walk-up song. What would it be?
Can you repeat that? Because I don't understand it.
So it's like a song, it's like your mantra. Like it gets you all jazzed and excited. What would it be?
I didn't understand the question. Baseball walk-up song?
Wait. Stop doing this.
We'll try it this way. What would your theme song be? We'll call it a theme.
Okay, that's our.
What would her theme song be?
Yeah,
there are people online that can't hear you.
So what would your theme song? And I'll tell you, I switched it off because we got rolling suddenly. I was going to play Promises, Promises. So I'll finish on that. So enter a title of a song that you would use to kind of get a room energized. That would be my interpretation of it, since I don't like team sports. Again, maybe we should have curated that. I'm just going to share a few of these because I've got a lot of other stuff I want to get to. And so here's one thing I like is I don't have to comment. You look at them. It's very fast. With NearPod, I never go, even though I have small classes, I never go around the room with my 14 students. And once in a while, but in my first year or so of teaching, I learned how boring it was. By the time I got to number 12, students 1 through 3 had just checked out of the room. So with NearPod, no, I don't need to tell them, they can see it. And you'll see in a multiple choice, California Dreaming, that was actually on my playlist.
So you can see a whole list of responses and you're just choosing the certain ones that you want to show?
Or I'm just sharing all of them. Sometimes I just share the ones I think are funny or crazy because I'm teaching a class in creativity, so if it's a novel response, I'll pick it out. And then I had a student who, his parents didn't know this, but he was spending Loyola tuition. He was going to become a stand-up comic, which his parents probably would be horrified about. So he would always put some very prankster thing within my presentation, which the class has a sense of humor. Let me get on to, so, I really found out, I've been using NearPod for a year and a half and I really love it. Negative surprise was and I'll get into briefly how you make a NearPod. Essentially, you take a keynote or a PowerPoint type presentation, you export it as a PDF, you go to NearPod. All of the creation of the presentation is done on a computer, not on an iPad so far. And you drop the PDF into this window on the on NearPod within the browser, and it creates 35 slides or however many slides you had. And then you go through and you work in the interactive features, which is what I'm going to demonstrate next. And let me get into love, because I'm really emotional. So I don't have to, I'm starting to hate words. I don't know, I used to be a great writer, I think, but I just want images. With my students, I'm like, put the object you made in front of me, and if it speaks to me, that's successful. And if students are making a photo montage or something, occasionally I'll get somebody saying, how many of these do I have to make? And I always say, just one, but it has to make me go, ah, like gasp with excitement. I think on your mode you can zoom in, not that it matters with this. So you can zoom in on images. So I find that there's a lot of clarity of image in this compared to looking at a projector, and there's more student involvement because it's there. I don't have one in this presentation, but I could put 10 slides up and they could flip the slideshow and read things at their own pace. Here's a favorite thing, because I hate PowerPoint, and I have been murdered by it so many times. If you haven't heard of this book, the book that's kind of saved my life with presentation somewhat is called Presentation Zen. It's a whole series of books. And it's the whole thing about never, a lot of you know these things more than I do, but, don't read your slides, never have more than 5 words on a slide, stuff like that. And of course I have a few more. So just avoiding, I surveyed my students. You can run surveys and polls and archive the data within NearPod. And at the end of the semester, I asked my students what they thought of it. And again, I'm not a scientist, but I did happen to have 3 of our lead IT people in the room, and I said, do you prefer this? Do you think we should have more iPads? And they were sitting there. It was great. They loved me for that. So my students really like this. Definitely prefer it compared to any conventional PowerPoint presentation. That was what they said. It's quiet. It's interesting. I don't like to lecture, and it's interesting to stand by the students while they watch a video. We're going to have a little video clip in this, and the video clip you control at your own pace. They can't really be huge, giant videos because they're embedded within this sort of, there's a size limit to how big the presentation can be, but that's at your own pace. Slideshows can be at your own pace, and then you are given time. I kind of do, you sort of you have to move on after a point, but there's a quietness to it. I find it relaxing. Not right now, because I'm in front of my peers. I'm not shy. I'm overcompensating shy person, so I'm a total loudmouth that always dominates the room. I almost took over somebody's presentation in the morning. They happened to be talking about mind mapping, which I was like, no, that's not it. But I love anything that gives the quieter students a voice, because they always have amazing things to say, and it's very effective in this. And it's so quick. I mean, I'm not doing it as quickly as I usually do, but I think I have one of these which will be a multiple choice, and then you'll just see well, that's the answer. It's a pie chart. That's kind of where we're at on this topic. And again, I'm not interpreting and regurgitating to students. I really like that. And this one has a few errors in it, I think. But another thing I love is if I was giving you guys a quiz say you were in my class and I gave quizzes, which I don't, and I gave grades, and I don't, but at the end of the semester, 3 months later after the fact, I could go back to your answers within all the presentations for the semester. If I was trying to be like, is this an A or an A minus? And I can, so all that's archived, all the data, the charts, and I can drill down into the individual responses. If I'm like, why didn't this student ever get this concept? And I can see on 3 presentations, I didn't catch it at the time, but they simply didn't get the information. So these I like, and sometimes the education PhDs at my school are asking me for data, and I don't, somebody like that said once, you've been teaching this for 15 years and you don't have any data about your effectiveness? And I was like, no, but at the end of every semester I have my students record a course reflection voice thread, like a video, And I have 250 of them, and they all sound pretty good to me. I said, and I offered that the education specialist could mine that for a study or something. There's a function called homework. So this presentation, I can send it out to anyone. Hopefully they're seeing it. I hope you're seeing it out there. And basically, it works the same whether you're in the room or not. Although you do kind of need the audio track, which they have some features that do that. I think that could be advanced a little bit. And then this presentation today, if I don't do anything else, that particular pin is active for 24 hours from when I initiated it. So I started it at 1 o'clock. It'll go off the server or disconnect at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. If I wanted students to have it for homework or to review, I can do homework, and the main difference, to my understanding, the main difference with the homework function in NearPod is it'll exist for 7 days. And so that's just, I haven't really explored the homework as much because I'm pretty much using this face-to-face. And then mobile learning, I do find my students, if they have like an iPhone, I mean, VoiceThread has a really nice app that I like. I don't like to create VoiceThreads on it so much, but my students, you know, they love being outdoors and doing whatever and then doing the VoiceThread. So I think NearPod, if I used it asynchronously more, that would be something that would be really useful. This is, I almost want to, what would I say to this question? This was just to demonstrate a multiple choice question. The format of the question is blah, blah, blah. Let's see, if you don't have a, it's basically something that could be answered by I always do that, I sometimes do that, I have done that, and or I never do that. And so one question I had in mind, you can throw out another question. One question I had is, if you've taught a class more than 5 times, how much do you change the projects and content of the course, like in the next semester? Like, it doesn't change, it changes a lot. That's just one idea I had. If you have some other, so basically what I've done is I've put in a blank question with those answers, always, sometimes, seldom, never, and then that slide I go to it and you could have asked the question, or I could just use the question I just threw out, which is if you've taught a class multiple times, unfortunately for me, part-time martyr than I am, I always change almost everything in the class, but it keeps it interesting. So if that's the question, if you've taught a class more than once or twice, do you tend to change a lot of it or very little of it? And I suppose sometimes you couldn't change too much of it. That question? Not that I know of. I'm sure there's some, you know, if you have 200 people in a room, I don't know. So that was, I needed to say that. So the question was, is there a limit to how many students you can have? But I only have classes of 14, so I don't, from my own experience, I don't know. Oh, and then this is a nice chance to share. You should see now the pie chart. And again, pie charts are a little reductive, but I don't need to explain. You know, you get it. You know, I love that I don't have to overlay my own interpretation on data, such as it is. Any other?
Let's say that you're teaching from like ClassFly Pro or something, and you have an online class, but there's like a pseudo face-to-face version. Can you use NearPod as well? Will it work, or?
I don't know.
Ah, okay. I'll find out.
But what is that? I don't understand the technology or the...
Oh, okay. Let's say that like what you do is you go in and it's like a video conferencing deal. Can you embed NearPod and have them go out in a link like that so that you can make it more interactive?
I think you just have to be doing sort of simultaneously two things. I mean, it'd be if I, you know, had 2 windows and one had the video conference and one had the NearPod, and
cool.
Then I would think that would work.
All right. Thank you.
Now we get to draw. Everyone loves drawing. Bottom left of your screen should be a little crayon. You can pick a color. There's 5 or 6 colors. And I'd like you to draw, just roughly, again, we're not expecting Da Vinci. It's like what line expresses calm, what line, and you can, and I'm not on mine, unfortunately, but yeah, it's good. And then what's that, frantic? What's the last one? Oh, angelic lines. I'd like to see your angelic lines. And then these, well, as you send them or submit them or whatever the word is, I can share the drawings, which is kind of fun. Oh, you'd have to like pick up the crayon, like click on it, and then you probably you have to hold it with like a hold drag. That sort of needs a mouse if you're not on a touch screen. So I would love to hear of all the subjects that you guys teach. Wow, I just wonder I'm meeting more people at my university because we have a place called Center for Teaching Excellence, where a lot of exchange between departments, and I'm meeting a lot of amazing, brilliant people, and then I'm like, wow, how does this apply to math or biochem or something else because I just teach art and design and entrepreneurship, which plenty, yeah, I love it. Well, rules of the universe, but that's just my universe. So now I'll share a few of these, and so the first time I was at a presentation where I learned about NearPod, I consider myself a very talented artist, and then somebody drew a much better picture of a bear or something. I was like, So, and then some people will not get the idea, or because I'm teaching creativity, I want rule breakers. Some will just be like, drive, through the whole thing, or rebellion is encouraged. See, they don't care. Yeah, probably a class of 200, you get some really nasty. You'd be able to tell who sent it, but I don't feel like I've begun to really tap the drawing thing. And what if they could make it so that the drawing could be done over images, as you can do in beloved VoiceThread? I mean, I'll suggest that to NearPod. They'll probably disconnect me.
How did you make the background draw?
That I could have made that in Photoshop or anything, and in fact what I did is from another presentation someone else made, I just did a screen capture and I pasted in the JPEG.
So if you put an image on a PowerPoint slide and PDF'd it, then someone could draw over it?
I'll have a slide to show how when you choose the interactive feature called Draw, there's an option to add an image to it. So it's a little different. It wouldn't be part. The interactive which are added slides are not part of that PDF that you drop in, which is why it takes, I hate to tell you this, it took me, I thought I was going to drop in all these great keynote presentations I had, and half an hour later, it took me about 7 to 8 hours per presentation per week on top of everything. But then I could technically reuse those. Plus, who cares, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Rosa?
There's an online student who wants to know, are the student submissions saved?
Yes. They are archived, and you go to a function. They're saved because at any time after the teacher, the one who's in control of the account, can go to a function on the NearPod site called Reports, and they can look at everything. And again, they can look at the graph summaries, and they can look at every detail, every moment. If you could think of examinations involving tests, testing these simple line drawings, you could look at all those probably a year down. I don't know when it ever expires, and I think that could be really good for assessment. And so I'm just going to I'm just going to tell you what to draw because I want to keep moving. So is there a chance to draw? Make this one, draw a creature or animal with 5 lines or less. And of course we mean line, not shape. So, no, I'm just kidding. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so the thing I've discovered teaching my class for 15 years, when I have plenty of students say, I am not a good artist, and that always means that they were told when they were 6 or 7 years old, like me, if they didn't know how to draw people well or bunnies or something. So in my class, we do no representational making other than photo montage and things that don't involve. We have a big drawing program at my school, but contemporary art, you don't need to know how to draw. I mean, that hasn't been critical for 50 years. So that brings out people's creativity. So let me share a few of these. They're fun. Again, do I need to talk at length and explain the symbolism here? Oh, by the way, I also have a degree in psychotherapy as well as architecture and sculpture. So, I know that. Not you. I can't talk to you. So that's fun. That's fun. Okay, anyone read The New Yorker? It's the only magazine I read a lot. Check out this. This man at the desk, two people behind chairs holding up puppets. I actually erased the part that said marriage counselor, and now I asked you to put in the punchline to win the New Yorker cartoon contest. And then I'm going to flip to it, so then you type in a great caption. And you can again, on yours, you can zoom in a little bit. And then when I get to the drawing slide, you can actually touch the image if you want to refresh. Let's see how this works. Putting you on the spot. It's a funny image because it's, they're hiding behind their chairs with the puppet. I thought something about marriage marionette, but we'll see what we get with this one. So again, I guess if this was a comedy writing workshop, I could pick the best two and send those out and skip everyone else's, but wouldn't that be horrible? My ear is acting up. Yeah, really. Where's the therapist stick? I can see names, and I can, yeah. I mean. I just meant I'm flinging them out to you guys.
So is there a way to have the students get records?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Hi. Is there a way for students to have a record of the submittals, the different responses?
I think because of just privacy, I would have to choose to. I mean, I could download every piece of data as a PDF and send it to people. Okay. And I could probably. I haven't done that, but I could probably make a page within the report of theirs. I haven't tried that, but it is downloadable as a PDF.
So one of the things that I've noticed is that if you start to share the responses, and one is in the midst of trying to respond, and suddenly you get these shared responses overlaying you. So is that something as the presenter instructor you need to be cognizant of?
I am cognizant of it. I'm most cognizant that I've got 20 minutes left.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
I usually am very patient with time, and I think my students know after the first time we do it that they're not going to spend 5 minutes on a drawing, and on a question or a opinion, I can see completion rate, and I will move on. If there's like 2 people that haven't, I will move on. So, but yeah, that's a good. It is, and I don't think I can go back to it. Which so it's sort of that they are refining this. It's been around, I think, about 5 or 6 years. To me, it's just kind of magic. So, I mean, I don't really want to know. I just tell you, it's a miracle it's working in this room with this many people. Yeah.
Do your students bring their own devices, or does your campus provide them?
I've done both. It's not a poor school, but they only, for what they're charging tuition, supposedly I kept asking and asking. We have one iPad cart in the generation 2. So when I can, I get the cart, and that works great. But then because I had invested so much in this, I experimented with my students bringing their own devices, and it seemed to be fine, except for one student that had an older Android device, and then I just gave him my extra iPad. So student bringing a laptop, just like we've done, anything. So does that answer? So now, I am so sick of certain buzzwords that I won't tell you mine. Now, I don't know, I just get sick of stuff. What word do you never want to hear again about online learning? Or what phrase, or bromide, or cliche? I'm going to archive this response forever. So, or maybe you just think that's a nasty question, but I have an even nastier one coming up. And you know, sometimes in class, and I'll do it here too, so one thing about the question about interrupting, I'll just read them, you know. It kind of breaks it up a little. And also there's a little bit, I mean, I have a picture of my students in here. There's a little bit of this thing, like, you know, and I'm sure you have, my students are really good people, but I was in a class and there were only 5 students there, and there was a student like this below her desk doing this. Like, what could she be doing? What could she be doing? She must be texting. And I just, you know, it's just... Yeah, exactly. Or like, I'm not going to notice. I'm not going to notice that. Okay, I'm going to send out some of these. Yeah. Curate, yeah, that's the new buzzword for Autodesk is putting out some, I'm really interested in 3D printing. They're putting out some free apps now, but they're calling it curated. Sounds like what they're doing is taking these things, and maybe they bought them, but then it's just going to be a little matter of time once they're used a lot that they become, you know, walled off and expensive. I don't know. Online is easier. Yeah. Golf. I mean, really, I am not in control of my presentation. Yeah, these are good. So we're going to go on a little trip. These are 4 of my favorite places. And so just think about if that's your options, which one you go to. You don't have to answer. We're going to actually go to these places. And if you've got really, I'm going to teleport. I'm not really. I'm from the future. Here we go. If you've got an iPad or if you have a whatever driver synchronous, stand up, and then I don't care what you want. We're going to Barcelona. And that's the right answer. And then here we go. We're going to go. This is going to burn up the bandwidth. Do not open the app when it says 360 cities. Do not open the app. Let the window open. Okay, so don't go to the app. And then hit on this thing, and you can expand it to full screen, and then you can walk around Guel Park, and you can zoom in. It's a magical, this is the end, even though I have more slides, this is the end of my presentation because people just play with this, but look at that. And now, so this oh yeah, don't do the app. It might just, yeah, just do not now. And if it doesn't work, well, sometimes it doesn't. And just sorry, that's what it looks like. So it's like, and it's like a magic window. So I think this is what Steve Jobs was dreaming of, even though he didn't maybe see this. A magical window on the world. I show this to people and they won't stop playing with it. And now I invite you to, up in the upper right, enter your favorite place. There should be a search window. Maybe you have to close up this one. Search window? Yeah. Oh, sorry, bottom right. Now you can go to your favorite place in the world. There's several 100,000 of these spherical panoramas. And the app for the iPhone and iPad is even better than the browser-based version. And I should have said that for the final slide. But
wow. So how did you do that?
It's called 360cities.net. It's just it's an app that runs on They have NearPod has a whole list of things that will work within the app, and then it does work on iPhone, but it's probably just hitting a bandwidth. Yeah, not the app though. The app you have to buy. The app is great, but so you can go to Paris. I take my students to like the Tate Modern. There's some good spherical panoramas. I show them a piece by Olafur Eliasson, one of my favorite artists, inside the Tate Modern. Then we go and stand on the banks, and it's not quite as good as being there, but it's quite good for super armchair traveling. So you can go back to that. I'm going to move on to get this thing finished. Yeah, really. Now, another question for you teachers. I find with my friends that's a little, whatever, sarcastic like I am, we love when we hear the insane student stories. We just love them. And I also had a student really politely ask an hour into my 3-hour class, before the class started, she said, "It's all right, can I leave an hour and a half early? I wanted to get the early boat to Catalina." And my response was, "Wouldn't we all, sister?" But, I was like, "Yes, you can. You'll get not credit for the class, but, Oh, so this is where I want you to put, if you just put in any little dog ate homework. It's like I got a bruise on my elbow, and then, I'm so patient and so helpful with my students that have serious problems, but then you get sometimes people that I'm like, they want sympathy, and I'm like, I'm dealing with people that have serious illness, and I will do whatever to help them, but this is, part of, and I just happen to be, because I'm from a military family, artsy, a little crazy, but freak about punctuality. I've had 850 class meetings. I've never been late, and I always tell my students, "Oh no, stop talking. I have never been late, so just stop talking. Not interested. You're fired." Yeah, it's your. Yeah. I'm spending $50,000 a year at Loyola tuition, and my students my parents couldn't afford to get a cab from the airport. Yeah, well, I'm sure they're all true. Cool. Oh, did we already get that? A typhoon was coming. Okay. But I was, and you weren't. Yeah, this is really fun. This is almost the most fun I've ever had with this thing. Because I don't have any learning outcome. Sorry, I wish. Sometimes, so I'm just swiping through to get mine. I don't know if you've used NearPod. I think we've only had one person. Anyone have anything to share about using NearPod if you've used it? Yeah. Okay. Good. Then you can put that on my evaluation. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that. Sorry. I just thought about this one because I think this was just some article, 8 things that make your teaching boring at times, and I'd say we'll just look at this list, and maybe it's not you, but maybe you know of someone that does these. Oh shoot, sorry, I just accidentally advanced the slide. Can you see it now? Sitting too long, teaching. All I know is I read something once about, of course you read everything, but nothing. No passive viewing of media for more than like 12 minutes without interruption, and I make my students run around or, have a ball game or something. I've just learned, like, I don't think anyone has I don't think that many people have attention deficit disorder. Oh, and we've got pretty good quick responses. I don't have my glasses on, so I think now we're down 27% have answered. You see it's kind of filling in my little thing. And if it was a quiz, I'm sure I would wait to let everyone answer, but I'll just share this for... Share. I'd like them to have some other kinds of graphs. I really love graphs, but, you know, pie chart. Here's the history, because I'm getting, whatever, I'm doing the boring part at the end or something. It did start out as an iPod app. There was no iPad, and that's why it's called NearPod. And then the iPad came out, and they were just like, the NearPod people were just like, oh God, this is, you know, perfect. Perfect. I think it does run, other than you do need a mouse with you, I think, to do the drawing and stuff, but I haven't, you know, I think this is optimal. And I think we already know the other stuff there. Just to, if you were looking at my computer screen and I was logged into my teacher account, it wouldn't say that, but was there something funny there? Oh, that's an old presentation. So once I log in, one of the screens is called Create, and then there's Assess, which is these reports. And then I have a little bit higher level user account. There's a free account for teachers, but it's not very effective. It's kind of, you can't use all the features like video, so it's, you know, $100, but I don't know. What can I say about it? For me, it's worth it. And so these, those are all my published presentations, and it's very simple and self-explanatory. You click on a tab called Create, and it'll say drop media into this. And you can drop in individual JPEGs or slides, or the thing I always do is drop in a PDF of a keynote presentation. Is that fairly clear?
I'm curious, when you drop in video, so everybody's looking at the video at their own pace, is that a problem noise-wise? Yeah,
it is a little cacophonous, which of course I sort of like. Just looking at how much time I like the chaos in a way. Usually what I do, if I got, again, 14 students, I put like my speaker in there, and I say, for this one, just everyone turn down their volume and we'll just listen to it. And other times they kind of, you know, I guess it'd be good with the earphones. Yeah, that's a little bit of a factor. So I think the creation, that's to get your slides from the old keynote PowerPoint into this. Then this is the window. You're going to just drag that PDF, drop it on the window. I mean, everyone's done stuff like that. And then here's the fun, which is these are all the interactive features. We've done most of these. I did a slide, but I didn't do a slideshow. And if there were 20 slides of art or whatever, that would be self-paced. There could be things to read, art, and then a little quiz afterwards, which I decided not to give you guys because I knew you'd all do really well. So poll versus, so there's no right answer. I mostly use polls. I don't do too many quizzes because I don't do too many quizzes in my class. We did plenty of open-ended questions. The web page browse. To do that thing to Barcelona, I just knew the web page for 360cities.net for Barcelona. I just cut and pasted that from my browser. Just doing this today, I feel like, boy, I could really do a lot more with that. I don't know what, you know. And video, I have a little video. Trying to remember. Oh, and then I guess let me just. I can pull up just to show you if you can see it. So I can pull up, this is all my slides in this presentation, so I can kind of anticipate. I'm going to skip that one, and I'm going to skip those two, and I'm going to go to my final image, which is the video, which would be nice if it worked, but it's not working. Okay, so then I don't know why I'm not being able to advance. I'm going to do the swipe. I'm going to skip this question about other things about NearPod. That was another chance to fill in. You can ask me something if you want to. And then just here's how a video works, and I chose a very cerebral video, one of my favorite philosophers. And I love, part of creativity is hybridization. So take delicatessen and samurai, and you get stuff like this. Okay. Come on. E-F-E-G-O-L. And then, no, and I just wanted to show this, and this is something NearPod created that I don't always use it, but it's a great paradigm for developing a NearPod presentation. Sometimes I'm not this formal in thinking it through, but you know, what am I going to do? What have they learned? And you really could verify that at the end. Question?
Yeah. Could an animation that would be interactive be used on NearPod?
I don't think so. I think you'd have to. You could. If you could open it in like a browser window, like you can embed video, or you can go to a. So if it would run on an iPad, if you went to that site, you could do it. And then the other thing would be to sort of like have two windows running, from my understanding. So.
You mentioned earlier that you could import a PowerPoint presentation. Does that also work with Prezi type presentation software?
I don't. Only if they can. It's basically you can't import directly PowerPoint. You export the PowerPoint as a PDF file. So if you could do a Prezi to PDF. I just haven't used it in a while, so yeah, that's another thing. Even with the Gold account. I shouldn't say that because I want them to give me another free one. The Gold account, it's 20 megabyte or something. So there's like I put in a 40-second. You can't put in a bunch of video. It'll blow out the size. And with a free account, you probably can't add any video. So I always take clips and I cut them, compress them, just to get a few. I've gotten useful video clips in there. But if I needed to do something longer, I'll maybe even outside of the presentation go to YouTube, or if it's longer, I would just run it on my screen, you know, something else. So good. And this is my. My test